Hey all, welcome back to the 2020 Athens Women's Football Summit. It's happening. The D-Day is here, very exciting. This is where in the next 5 days we'll be talking about women's football, everything about women's football. And let's start with the big panel of the day and definitely the Legends Corner. We have Carolina Morace all the way in Rome, Italy, and she's joining us. Most of you know her, FIFA legend, former player, top striker, back in her days, very, very exciting. Top coach, I must say. And also, I remember, Carolina, there was a time you were the first woman to ever coach a top men's side. So it's very exciting to have you here. Now, let's move from Italy all the way to the UK. We have Emile Heskey, who I have, been humbled to host over and over and over again. Leicester City icon, played for also other top sides in England, and also played for the England national team. So it's very exciting to have you here. And we will also, through this session, we'll also celebrate your new role with the Leicester City women, where you're the ambassador. You're there to motivate them from the youth ranks all the way, their transition to the senior women's team. So all of you, welcome, welcome. Let me say a Swahili word. Welcome in Swahili is karibu. So karibu to the show, yes. So quickly, Carolina, let's start with you. I know you're there in Italy. I wish all of us were in Greece, but due to the COVID-19 circumstances, that couldn't happen. But welcome to the show. What are you up to? What have you been up to this 2020, Carolina?
I don't know what could happen. First of all, thank you to invite me also this year. It's always an honor to be invited also in a conference like that, because I saw and I was present last year in Athens, and was an important moment for women football, because it's a confrontation, is about to share the knowledge and experience about our world. So for me, it's an honor to be here also this year, and I hope to contribute with my experience again to pass something also for the people interested in women football.
Amazing. And before we shift to the UK, I have to say congratulations on your new book that you just announced. I told you I'm trying to get the name right, and I can't wait, if the publishers are watching, to have it in English. Flori Daily Schemi. What does that mean? Yeah. Thank you. What does the title mean? And kindly tell us more about the book.
So, fuori dagli schemi, it means outside the scheme of the team. So, you know that the team has some movement in ball possession and non-ball possession. The team has a movement when there is the set pieces. So the schemi is the organized movement in football. Fuori means go outside this perfect movement. You go outside. You go outside because maybe the life, the experience is different. And in this book, I spoke about my life. I spoke about my private life, my love, my wedding, and how I handled also my life in football, but in my family. So it's something everybody knows about me, about my goal, about many things. Sorry, but in this time, I have a lot of journalists that call me for the book.
We understand. Okay,
so I think that it's a book that I talk also about the condition of women, the mentality of Italian people, about women, about sport, there are some topics that could be interesting.
Amazing, amazing. And I can't wait to have the copy in English. Fingers crossed. I hope they will, translate it into English, and all the best. Speaking of a book, Emile also has his book, Even Heskey Scored. He can tell us about that and tell us what he has been up to this 2020. Emile, over to you.
Thank you for having me. I haven't scored 4 goals at Wembley like Carolina, but I did score. But no, I've been lucky enough to be asked to become ambassador for Leicester City Women's. I grew up in Leicester. Played from the age of 9 all the way up to 22, where I got sold to Liverpool. Now at the ripe old age of 42, coming back and hopefully giving back to the club, but obviously on the women's side of football. It's been great to be asked. Helping with do a little bit of coaching, which I'm getting my UEFA B badge now, as well as a bit of mentoring, as well as helping with the pathways to get into the first team. So yeah, it's been it's great that I've finally been able to get myself back into football and to be helping on the women's side of it.
Yes, amazing. And both of you, I know you're also analysts when it comes to the football games in your various countries. Congratulations about that to the both of you. Emile, when you got that phone call that you come and support, help the young women who are trying to come up, who are trying to get to know, with your experience, with your knowledge, how did you react to it? And how serious is women's football to you, Emile?
Well, the thing is, it's a weird one for me that came around. So if I go back 12 years, I was playing, I can't remember where I was playing, but I was playing football and my friend was coaching the Leicester City Women's. And he asked me to come down and give a speech before the game. I gave a speech and then watched the game and then went home. But at that time, they wanted me to be an ambassador then. I was playing football and my focus was solely on football, as you do when you're selfishly thinking about yourself.
Yes.
But then, now fast forward to now, and I was asked, I thought, well, yeah, definitely it would be something that I'd be interested in. My boys are playing football, so I've seen the women's team play. My boys are playing for Man City, and I've seen the Man City women's team playing. And you're talking about the pinnacle, you're talking about the top. You talk about a lot of England internationals playing for them. You're watching them and you're thinking, well, this is wonderful to watch them play, and the way they play, and the tempo that they play at. And then you're thinking, well, why are they not getting the same coverage? Why are they not getting the same push as the men's? But again, it's for us all to lend our hands and really help push the women's game. And it's great to see the girls really getting out there and wanting to play and wanting to perform. And now I've been privileged enough to actually coach a couple of under 15 training sessions, and this is the future. So it's about pushing them as well.
Yes, amazing. And I know we are diving deep into it, but we have to definitely switch to Gilberto Silva. The Arsenal legend is here with us. Welcome to the show, Gilberto. We are here talking about the women's football, the women's game. 2020 Athens Women's Football Summit has just gotten underway, and we are humbled to have you on board. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, Carolina, Emily. How are you guys? Hope you are well. Sorry for the delay. I have a problem with my signal here. But it's great to join you guys and to talk about a very important subject in the football world, about women's football, about how important it is for everyone to embrace and make it stronger every year, to make sure women's football have the space they deserve.
Yes, amazing. And this is your second edition for you and Carolina. I know for Emile and I, this is our first edition. But from last year's edition and this edition, what have you seen in the women's game when it comes to growth and the world just embracing the women's game?
It's for me or for Gilberto?
Gilberto and then you, Carolina, both of you, yes.
I think, especially with the last World Cup, was really important for women's football. I think gave the visibility they need to show that they are capable to produce good football, as we have seen in many of the games. And it was great to see, the audience, everyone supported it. And the hardest thing in terms of the continuation, because since March of this year, we are facing the pandemic, and everything stopped in terms of women's football development. Some of the club they are find maybe difficult to how to work in these times, but this is in general. But I think for women's football was like everything like frozen. But it is important people, despite the fact they are not play football, don't forget about it, about the responsibility, about the compromise they have made with women's football. Everyone talk about women's football, despite the fact of the pandemic, but it's a time to organize things for the future. How can we work in the future, after this pandemic? How process better? How does the clubs can become stronger and give the women's football, a big support? Not only the clubs, but the federations, confederation, everyone think about it as normally they do it for men's football.
Amazing, amazing. So Carolina, let me just twist that question up a bit, because you have been on the pitch and you've also, and you are a top striker during your time. Carolina, you are really scoring during your time. And then
I scored 4 goals.
Yes. Tell it to Emile. Let Emile get it. And then also and when it comes to coaching, you also coached top sides when it comes to women's football. We're talking about Canada. We're talking about your own country, Italy. Any differences, huge or major differences you've seen from your time when you're on the pitch back then and now when it comes to the women's game?
There is a huge difference about the tactical knowledge of the players. At that time, for example, we used to play man-to-man. And also, maybe the player, because I was lucky, because I used to play in Italy when the best foreign players came in Italy, and they used to play here. And as a younger player, for me, they were a model. It's very difficult for a woman to have a model as a man. Of course, I like some football player like Gianluca Vialli, because he was number 9 like me, but I can't say that he was my model. Now they can have this. Now is also change the speed of a football is much faster now than before, and now there are much more interest around women football. And in Italy, for example, we grow up a lot when the professional men's club, they took the women's side. Now we have Juventus, Milan, Inter, Rome, Fiorentina. And if, of course, because the professionalism is not just about to receive money, it's the environment that is important, is everything, because you have the doctor, you have a physio, you can coach, you can training during the day. So at my time, in my time, we don't do that. The player used to work, and after the work at 7 o'clock, you go to have a training. And it's very, very hard because you are tired and because you don't have a time. Now there are, for example, also much more time to have a look at what the player hit. The performance is, now there is everything to push up the performance of women. So it's a huge difference, and we have a lot to do more.
Yes.
Because we have a lot. It's not just here. We have to keep going to growing.
Yes, and that's part you're talking about, we have a lot to do. That's why the Athens Women's Football Summit is here. It's like home of women's football. And that's why I jump into this. I know, Emile, when I talked to you earlier, you had talked about, why is the women's game not getting the same investment and the same coverage as the men's game? And that's why we are here. So I want to ask a few questions. And let me start with the big question, which is FIFA. FIFA has pledged $1 billion in funding the women's game until 2022. What do you think of this? Is this a positive step? Do you think they've done enough, or do you think they can do more? We can start from there.
So for myself, you've got to get the fine details. Anyone can pledge anything to whatever, but until you get the finer details and you understand where they're pledging the money, what is it going into? Is it going into grassroots? Is it going into create an environment for the young girls to grow within football? One thing I find, obviously in women's football now, one thing I find is me as a young boy growing up, I would go with all my friends and we'd play football for hours. Now, we might have one or two girls come and play, but that was very few and far between. Now, this is the environment we create. Now, what you need to possibly do is create a safe environment, because my parents would openly let me go and play. I will not let my girls go and play on their own with their friend. Even I was going at the age of 7, 8, 9. Now we need an environment. We need to create a nice environment for the girls to actually go and express themselves and play with freedom, because that's where a lot of girls will learn, and then put them into an environment where it's a bit more structured. I think you need both. You can't just have the structured environment, because as I see now with the boys, you create robots, whereas you need a little bit of freedom. And this is where I think within the Brazilian system, they just go and play. They go and express themselves and go and play within the cages, and they go and they can do futsal and this. Whereas within our system now, it's all structured. They're constantly looking over at the coach and say, "What do I do next?" At times, you need to figure it out yourself and express yourself.
Yes, amazing. So, which parts of the women's game, now that you're the ambassador for the Leicester women, have you identified that need to be improved in order to continue that positive growth when it comes to the women's game?
Well, within England, they have different aspects of it. They call it Wildcat, where they're actually investing in grassroots and putting grassroots programs on. It's good if you have money. If you don't have money, it's not good, because you can't afford. Because I think it works out to be X amount a day, maybe £10 to £12 a day, which might not sound great, but if you're an inner city girl, how is your family going to find another £10 when they're living on just under that line anyway? So I think there's different aspects of it that needs to be looked upon, and this could be funding that you could take from FIFA. That you say, okay, we're going to put on a grassroots project within these areas, within deprived areas, where they can go and express themselves and enjoy football. Because again, within football, within sports, is health. It helps you with your education as well. Because as we know, the fitter you are, the more focused you are within your education. So this comes all hand in hand. So if they can feed into these different pools of money to actually create something within grassroots and for girls, because when the boys there, you already have it. If you can create it for the girls, the sky's the limit. Because again, you're starting from a younger age, where you're not taking someone from 14 and 15. They're taking boys. I'll give you an example. My son started playing football at 4 years old. Whereas girls now, it's taking them at 10, 12. You've lost a real big time where they can actually engage within a sport that they love and really embrace it.
Amazing. Gilberto, to you, Emile has talked about, a safe environment and also developing grassroots football for the young girls when they are growing up. What aspects do you think need to be improved with the women's game? As Emile said, yes, there's this whole huge amount of money that has been announced, but the finer details of how this money will help. And, talking about, nurturing young talent has not been broken down. So what aspects of the game, or where do you think the game needs to improve in order to cater most, especially for this upcoming new generation of young ladies?
As Emile said, the safe environment is something very, very important for the girls, because it's about the safety, for them to feel secure that they can go and practice and play football, express themselves and be creative, and have a space, because as a boy, you can play on the streets. And nowadays, things has changed a lot, from when I was a kid. Play on the street with my friends, and somewhere we could find space to play. Nowadays, we also the parents also are concerned about the safety of the kids, and for the girls, about having a safe to the environment for them, but also the parents encourage them to play football if they love it, instead of, oh, you have to play with the dolls. Why not play football? What's the problem? What's the problem? You can play football. You can be talented if you have talent, if you like it, even though they are not going to become professional football players, but just play. Being played, you are taking care of your health. You are, become in love with the sports, and you can be part of the football industry, in any area, as a coach, as a fitness coach, or whatever the girls decide to be. If they want, they believe that, okay, I can go a little bit further. And it's about, as a parents, encourage our daughters and sisters to play football. It's not, forget about some words I always listen in the past. Oh, football is for men. No, it's for everyone who loves the game, include the girls. And now we have to give a voice for them, support their voice, support their game. The structure is important for them, to have to improve in their performance. Because if you don't have a structure to perform, it's hard. I remember when I was teenage and watch Brazilian team play football, and later on have an opportunity to speak to them, how hard it was for them to practice it, because there was not a structure for that. Now here in Brazil, some clubs, they more or less are obliged now to have a football for women, for the girls, but they need to improve a lot of things in their infrastructure to give them the support they deserve, to be playing and to be in the right place, and for the performance to be better, because this is you reflect in the society, in my opinion. It's not about in the game, it's about society. Give them opportunities to play football.
A bit when it comes to FIFA. I remember the president, Gianni Infantino, saying and suggesting about the World Cup being held after every 2 years instead of the normal 4 years. And I think he spoke this after last year's numbers were really, they were very huge for the World Cup, and everyone was shocked, was like, oh, wow, the women's game is here, the time is now, and it's actually happening. I think so many people didn't see that, because even the numbers were so high, more than the Super Bowl numbers, as you know, Super Bowl in the United States. What are your thoughts on having that for Women's World Cup? Do you think the time is now? Do you think it's being rushed? Do you think now are like, oh, it's big, let's do this? What are your thoughts on his sentiments about holding the World Cup after every 2 years?
Sorry, I didn't understand if the question was first to me.
Yes, it's to you. Okay. It's to you. Sorry, about the World Cup. Yes. Yes.
I think that the guy spoke about the social level, how it's important to play for boys and girls in that level, and of course I agree. That is another level, and I think that is a good idea, because you can focus all the world in this event, and everybody can see the level of women football. We don't have to forget that there are some countries where it's difficult to play. It's difficult to play for the mentality, because you can't stay with you can't play with the short pants, or maybe because it's a macho country where football is just for men. I think that to have the World Cup in every 2 years, but also in the country where women football is low, is a good idea, because if we want to, I remember when I was a young, and I remember that I watched on TV a match of women. It was my national team. I was, I think that I was 10 years old. And I watched this game and I said, because at that time, of course, I played just with the boys. So I watched the game and I say, wait a moment, I can play with them. So I have 2 legs like them, I can do it. And for me, it was amazing. And I discovered women football in that way. So I think that Infantino, I think that is right, because Infantino say the women needs a different thing than men. And it's right to develop, we need the different things. But again, I suggest to Infantino to have the technical director women, because it's exactly what he said. Need of women are different than needs of men. So if you have the technical director in FIFA, UEFA, CONCACAF, everywhere, you have a technical director for the men, not for women. And you can't put all in the same level, because we need to see different things.
Yes, amazing. And I love that point, because at least from the conversation we're getting what needs to be done to make sure the women's football goes to the next level. A safer environment, as you said, Emile, and we also have women just actually playing, as you said, Gilberto, not to look at it as the men's game and the women's game, and we have Carolina right now also sense different for men and different for women. Emile, at Leicester, which steps are you planning to take, if you kindly can share some of them with us, to make sure that the women's game, and I know you've really talked about this at heart and at length when it comes to why is the funding and the investment and everything not the same or nearly to the men's game when it comes to the women's game. So which steps do you think, not just even for Leicester, but the world needs to take in order to make sure there is that? I know Brazil on the other side, when it comes to Gilberto Silva, I know at least that they took a step of equal pay for both their men and women's team. But now just going forward, when it comes to the countries and also the clubs and also at Leicester, how can that be achieved?
Well, I think is finding that pathway and creating that pathway and making it seamless, the pathway. At this moment in time, we kind of have a pathway for men. So they have, I don't know what, let's for argument's sake, let's say we take it from under 8. They have under U8, U9, U10, all the way up to U16. Then they have U18, then they have 23s, then they have first team. I would like to see the data on how many make it from down here all the way up to the top and how many go out. And then you kind of look at it and say, well, this is totally different to women's. Let's see if we can create a better model that there gives you a chance from U16. If you're good enough to go into the first team, you go into the first. If you're not, let's see if there's a different pathway to give you playing in a first team in lower division. And then when you're ready, you come back, but you're ready for the first team then. Because then you get less people leaving football, because within the men's, we have so many kids at 21, 22, they're supposed to be the next big thing, and then you see they're gone. Totally. We want to keep all these girls within football. And having the right training for the girls as well, and even educating them about the diet. I think, Carolina, you talked about it, where you're talking about you can now look at their diet because they're professional. They're in every day. You can look at how much training they're doing. You can look at the weights. They do a lot of weight training now as well. You can look at how much weight training they do. They can look at what body composition they need to be the optimum going onto that pitch. And this is the stuff that you can start to gauge from a young age all the way up now. Whereas at this moment in time, it's kind of just all over the place. There's no real jigsaw. We've not really put that jigsaw together at the minute. We have all the pieces here, but we've not really put it together to say, yes, this is the way to do it. And this is something that I want to have a look at within what I'm doing at Leicester to help out. Because it really and truly, we want the best pathway for the English players going into the England national team, going into Leicester and going into the England national team as well.
Amazing. Gilberto, now to you, and I'll still just ask the same question. Which steps do you think need to be made, those hard steps that need to be made so that the women's game moves forward? Because, as I said, everyone gets excited when the numbers are high. When the World Cup numbers hit a high record, every game needs like positive steps that we make sure that the young ladies who are upcoming can also enjoy the football on the pitch without all these issues arising.
More we talk about women's football, more attention the game will get, more attention will be drive in order to make the competition strong. Okay, you can have a lot of money, as FIFA announced, it's going to invest in women's football for the next few years. But it's important, apart from that, when this money is going to be split in the clubs, they've been used correctly to assess them in the best way they can, to give them the right structure. Carolina said about, make a comparison from when she played and now, up to now, how things has changed, because now, as we know from men, we have tools that can control the players, give them a better assessment on a daily basis. It has to be the same for the humans, give them the same tools, the same importance, because, and then, it's not look about the numbers, what it produced in the last World Cup and see just a financial figure, but, therefore, to look at the whole environment, how important it is to the game. It's not about the financial only. I think the financial is important to give them the structure they need. But apart from that, what the women's football can bring to the society, for the football, for us, for the families, because as we have seen the last World Cup, and we could see a lot of families going to the games. How can we explore it in a better way to give the society, a different perception about women's football, but about football itself, because we can learn from them. It's not because, in the last few years, women's football was like undercover. We could not get much insight of what was going on there. We cannot learn from there. I think everyone can learn, because, but it's important. I agree with Carolina, mentioned that it's important to give space for the humans in the borders, in the director's board, to give that different perception, different direction, because humans know what humans need, different from us. We can find out, can learn, but it will take us a bit of time. But maybe you can also have women's work in the men's team. Why not in the future?
Yes.
Maybe we have less nowadays. We have in different departments, but why not close to football? Because we share the experience, share the knowledge to improve the game. I think as long we use the money the right way and talk every time about this, the importance of the women's football for the society, I think is a win-win situation for everyone.
Yes. And also you've talked about, giving the same amount of attention to the women's game and the men's game. And I know a few months ago, many were very happy. I announced that it will be definitely equal pay for both the men and the women's teams. How was that received back in your country? And I know you have a very close connection with also the Brazilian players back home. So how was that received back home, and how did you take it when you had the news?
I was very happy for that, honestly. I think this is important. But my question is going to be true. this is one point for me where I put my question mark. Because one thing is when it's written in the paper, on internet, this is fine, it's fantastic, it's perfect scenario. But on practice, on a daily basis, are the clubs able to fulfill this expectation? And they are going to get the money in order to give them, the equal payment. And what's the budget they work for? And this, I think, is important. Everyone work very well on this situation. It's important to use what has been said. I think this is a very positive aspect of the game. But is apart from that, is implement this in the reality. Because if you just talk and don't do what you have said, it goes again. People will look back in the future and say, "Oh, come on, they just talk again about women's games. Support them. We are in the same position. What for?" And then it's like a kind of waste of time if you don't implement what you have said. But it's important, apart from that, everyone work in the same direction, and get the voice, raise the voice for the positive thing, and push for all these ideas being implemented and become a natural situation. Because when it becomes natural, I don't need to talk about this kind of thing. Just move the subject and improve for the next step.
Yes. Carolina, still on the question about equal pay, we've had so many women's teams across the world asking for equal pay. We've had, and we saw even after the World Cup, how the United States team had a bit of struggle with their own FA and asking for the equal pay. And this has been going on. This has been an issue that has been going on year in, year out. And you have been on the pitch. You have coached top women's sides. What are your thoughts on this? And what do you think is the solution when it comes to this money issue in the women's game?
I think there is two different things. First of all, what happened in Brazil, and I think that is the right way. What happened in Brazil was that the federation decided to give the same money, allowance money for the men's and the women players, the same amount. And also the value of the World Cup, the value of the European. If the award is 100 million, has to be for the men and for the women, exactly the same. I'm not agree when we talk about the equal salary of the club, because the club are private. And it's right that the club can reinvest the money that they receive from the men in the men's side. And of course, for now, the men produce more money than women. So I think is the market, is not against the women, is a market. Maybe you sell better, I think, the Premier League than Serie A, I don't know, but it's a market, so it's not something that is not right. So yes, that has to be motivation to push the women to give and to play better. In my perspective, I'm a coach, of course. For me, we need always to improve the beauty of the game, because it's just this that can stop everything and can start everything, because just play well.
Amazing. Emile, I know you have, yes?
For now, because of course there are some matches in the men's side that are bad. And I watch 5 minutes, it's okay, I can't do it this match. But if we watch one match of women, we have to say the same. We cannot say, the women, they cannot play. I don't know, which match did you see? You didn't see Chelsea against Arsenal or against Manchester United. So don't talk like that. It's not. It's the best level of women. So Just passions.
Yes. Okay, Emile, I know you wanted to add on that. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, are we missing a trick of trying to look at the women's game holistically and seeing at what value we can gain from that with commercial as well? Because again, what I'm taking off the men's side within England is it's kind of funding the women's side, and then you're being held accountable for whatever the men's going to give you. But if we can actually look at it holistically and say, no, well, what can we gain? Where can we go and get the sponsorship? Because I remember when the Premier League moved away from the federation and created the Premier League itself. It didn't have all this money. It didn't have all this know-how. It was certain people that saw the vision, moved away, and created this. And yes, you look at now, I think the next level of money for the Premier League is 1.5 billion in TV, you know? So do we need to look at the women's football and say, how can we package it and how can we then bring in the real sponsorship and let the women's football walk on its own? Because I think Gilberto took on there. I would rather take my family. I've got 4 kids that I live with. I would rather take my wife and my 4 children to a women's game because I know that I'm not going to have no hassle, nothing, and my kids can enjoy the game. My boys play so they can watch the different passage of play, like you talked about before, Carolina, the triangle. They can look at all these in the women's game, but I know they're safe and they're not going to have no hassle. You take them to a men's game, you have to put their fingers in their ears. You have to,
It's true.
So this is maybe something that all of us have to look upon and saying, how do we create something from this? Where can we go within the sponsorship? How do we create something that we know families want to come and watch this game?
Yes. So it's all, what you're talking about. It's all how we package the women's football, and we have to look past all these things about the men's game. And I remember, and I think I agree with you, Emile. I remember just a few days ago, we had a goal from the Corinthians women that actually went viral on Twitter. And I was thinking, and I was sitting, wow, what if this, people are actually watching this? We had some sponsors on board, because that was some good play. And everyone, I remember when it was Twitter, it had 1.3 million views just on Twitter. You can't imagine how many times they have shared it across all these other platforms. So I get your point about packaging women's football. I know we are running out of time, but we have to talk about another Emile. But let me throw it first to Gilberto, and we'll come back to you, Emile. And this is about player development in the women's game. And we've had so many people talk about, the quality and everything that's coming. How important is player development, Gilberto, in the women's game? What needs to be done to make sure, what we see on this side is what we have to see also on this side when it comes to the women's game?
I give them the same opportunity and support as we have for the men's. If you don't have like a foundation to play football, you are going to miss something when you get to the professional team. Now, as long you give them the right at the proper training while they grow up, since as a kid, basically they grow up in this environment of football, learn the first steps, and to get to the professional team and understand exactly what they need to do in order to improve their game, to improve football. But if you miss something, it's always hard, to cope with some other things when you have to go to the next level, because you miss something. You have to work sometimes even more what is necessary to catch up with the other people. I think work on these basic things, for women's football, give them the right development. This is what will make difference in the future as well.
Yes. Carolina, your thoughts on how important player development is in the women's game?
In my opinion, is a beautiful game, beautiful skill of the player. So it's important to have the right person, the specialist person, Sometimes it's different to coach boys and to coach women. I can tell you just one example. If you coach boys and you start to do a warm-up and you set up something, they are very excited and you have to jump, you have to curve, you have to do that. So the boys start and you have to tell them, oh, wait a moment, it's a warm-up. It's a no race, it's a warm-up. For women and the boys, they want to be, I want to have the shot stronger than Emile. I want to have the dribbling better than Gilberto. So it's about competition. Instead of for women at the same age, it's about to be friend. So it is okay. It's no one is right, one is wrong. Absolutely. It's just you have to know this. You have to use the right way to push the girl and to push on to stop the boys. It's just, I think as a parents, I think that you use the same thing with the girls and with the boys. So it is exactly the same thing. Of course, you have an advantage if you know both of them. The world of boys, the football boys, and the world of football girls. If you know both of them, of course, you can handle it better.
Amazing. Emile, your thoughts on player development?
It's very important, and this is where you get it right. I think Lena touched upon it there, where you get the specialists in. That works on your progression all the way up. And this is very, very important. We've got that in boys, the men's football, so we need that within the girls. And it's funny now Carolina's saying what she's saying there. This is what I'm learning now about the girls. You don't necessarily have to tell the boys anything. They understand it straight and they want to do it and they want to please you. Where the girls, I think, is more of a social gathering where you have to kind of separate them and get them to do the actual exercise, but they still do it well. But it's just about the understanding of the way everything works with them.
Emile, you can call me, eh?
I will definitely be calling you.
Great.
Amazing. I love the tips you're getting here about, I know Carolina saying getting specialists, specialists for that, and people who definitely understand the young ladies more. So as we wrap up, it's a nice session, but unfortunately all good things have to come to an end. Let's just quickly go around again, and I'll start with you, Gilberto. Tell us now the current projects you're involved in, and also just when it comes to the women's game, your plans and everything. The floor is yours.
Oh, I have my sports company, work with as an agent with some young players, some talented players. I never left football. It's hard to leave football when stop completely, always involved. I think for my perception in terms of women's football is give the best support as I can, in the best way. Even if I need to support events like this, is always great. I think it's important. I have to do my part as a sports person to support the women's game and help to raise the voice of women's game to support them the best way. As long as I can do it, and they can count on me, I'll be here to support them.
Amazing. So we'll go to you, Emile, and then we'll wrap up with Carolina. Your projects, your current projects, everything about Leicester you can tell us here, and how also the world can support.
Yeah, I think for myself, it's obviously I've started as the ambassador for Leicester City, helping develop the pathways and help develop young talent within the women's game, which is great for myself. And I've just embarked on another project as well with a couple of other players, which is called Player for Player, which is helping current players and ex-players navigate their way through their careers, advising them on every single different bits of it, whether it be going into coaching, whether it be anything to do with your football career. Please support the women's game. It's growing. It's one thing I will say is go there with an open mind. Don't go there thinking that you're watching boys play or men play. Go there with an open mind and you'll absolutely love it.
Amazing. Carolina, we wrap up with you with your last words, the projects you're currently working on, and you know, everything about Carolina. And also, I know, once again, congratulations for your new book.
Thank you. I don't want to write another book because that means that I will not coach, so I don't want. No, I was very close to an important team, international team. I was so close, and that was an honor for me because one of the best team in the world. And now, of course, I keep going with my coach, and I would like to have an experience in England because England is for now is the best league. Is absolutely the level of the league is high, and I follow through the TV the league, and there are many teams, many good teams, many good players, and is a very fast game. So I would like to have an experience there.
Amazing. So you can just call Emile. Gilberto also has. Yes. You will exchange contacts, and also you can drop a message to Gilberto. But yes, all the best, everyone. Oh my goodness, I'm humbled to have interviewed you, legends, and your thoughts on the women's game. Thank you so much, Carolina Morace, FIFA legend, top striker back in the day. First ever woman to coach a top men's side. So thank you so much, Carolina. Emile, former England international, you played for Liverpool, also. But I know you're a Leicester City icon because that is where they took in and you rose through the ranks. So thank you so much, Emile. Gilberto Silva, World Cup winner, FIFA legend, former Arsenal player, and also an Arsenal legend. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us and just the legends sharing their thoughts and wisdom on what needs to be done to take that step forward when it comes to the women's game. Have a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning from wherever you're joining us from. This is the 2020 Athens Women's Football Summit. We'll have this across 5 days, so keep it tuned. Thank you.
Thank you.